Michelle with Serendipity House. How are you guys today? I have some fencing. Now these were like 6-foot fence posts. They were going to go to the dump. Here's how I did this. Now you can make a small one. I just have my square here. Easy, you're just cutting triangles. So if I'm going to be doing 2 of these side by side like this, all I did is measure from the top corner, let's say all the way down to the bottom corner. When you cut these, this will be the back side too. The pencils weren't showing up. When you cut these, not only are you going to get a tree in the middle, but I was noticing that the triangles that fell off, so here's my tree right here, right? These 2 extra pieces flip around and will also make a triangle. So I got 2 different sets of trees, and I just cut this with my reciprocal saw. Easy. Here we are. So you cut them, and then all I did is put glue right down the center and squeeze them together. I didn't even clamp, and they're totally fine. I'm using the IOD Air Dry Clay. Love this stuff. So you're going to need, for this next part, we're going to need the clay. I have a little bit of flour here. You can use flour or cornstarch or bacon, anything that's going to make your clay not stick to the mold. So the micro rim, which is the rim around each design, will help you get a nice, flat, even backing, which is what you want if you want it to stick to your piece. Now with a craft project, I don't really worry that much about it, but you know, a lot of times I'm doing furniture, so this technique is a good one to know. You could use anything flat. All right, let's turn some of these out, make a couple more, and then we're gonna get our hands dirty with glue. Put your mold down and roll it back. I have my finger on that. Okay, and once it starts, it should just fall right out, but all right, now I'm going to roll back so that I get a nice clean casting without stretching. So you just keep rolling it all the way back until it's out, as opposed to leaving it straight up and trying to pull out of it. right, so you can see where that the trowel catches the micro rim, which is this little rim on the sides of each design. And that ensures that you get a nice flat back. All right, let's turn these out and then we're going to start some gluing. All right, let's start with this. I'm just going to put glue from my finger. Now you could use a popsicle stick. I end up getting my fingers all yucky anyway, so I just do it like this. But you could use a popsicle stick, the transfer tool, the rub-on tool for the transfers. I've got a drawer full of those. I use those for glue. Those are very handy for so many things. To put one right at the bottom. Now this is one of those projects that I'm going to use this to cut it with. I glued the whole thing, so I'll use the other piece up a little higher. But so many options here because, let me just say, you can totally wrap the mold all the way around the side. You could also, after the front part dries, do the back. This could be a two-sided thing. I like the linear look of this, and I'm just maximizing kind of how, using it all. Like, where can I use it? Where and how can I use this? All the in-betweens, it's going to be all brought together at the end with, you know, all the space in between. You don't need to cover it all up. It's going to all come together at the end when we paint, and I'll show you that part will be next. So what I do want to do is continue the design in the sense that, like a pattern, I'm going to continue a pattern. So I'm going to put that here. You don't need to worry about if they're straight right now because I'm going to save that. Let's get my bird on there before I cover up all my space and forget her. And actually she could, she needs to, well, actually she could go right there in the middle. What do you think about that? Because you, like I said, you don't need to cover the whole thing. The negative space is important here. And you'll see that when we get to the next step. All right, I am going to turn this around, or I know she's going to be flying in the wrong direction. All right, something, a little something at the top there. There. Now remember when you're doing your clay that you want to push it down really well, but you don't want to spread it out because that is going to encourage more of the cracking. And I love cracking actually on these kinds of projects, but you don't want too much. You don't want to be surprised. So when you're pushing it down, that's what we're going to do now. We're going to push it down everywhere. And try to kind of squeeze in when you're pushing. That will help you. You want to make sure all of your edges, so all of these parts where you could maybe see underneath because it's lifting, all of that you need to make sure has a good adhesion with your board. Now my board isn't even level here. There's a little bit of a lip here where I cut it. That is fine. This is a rustic project. So you're going to be pushing it down and squeezing it in a little bit. I've just learned that from doing a lot of these. All right, and then you can take a knife, you could take your putty knife, and you just trim where you need to around here. And you could do this, If you miss some, you could probably go back and sand it off. Step one is done. I put this aside and let it dry, okay? And I usually paint when my molds are dry, because if you paint when it's wet, you can do a light coat when it's wet, but here's the risk. If you paint when it's wet, your brush and your paint could be rubbing some of these details out that you want to make sure that you keep. So let me just show you. So this is, I just have dowels, and for the ones that I did already, I drilled a hole and I put the dowel in it on the bottom. And so you go ahead and do that. And then what you could end up with is a topiary tree that maybe is really monochromatic and matches your pot. I'm using a chip brush and black waxed. The reason I use a chip brush for this is because I really beat my brush up. I want it in the middle of all of those details. I put a hole in this one already, so this one is going to be going on the stick. If you are not a waxer, you could just do this with, I'm going to show you after, I'm going to put some gilding wax on it and just hit it with my finger. You could do that. You could do a wash with paint. I just love playing with waxes. That's just kind of my obsession. But they, they don't really, they could go from having nothing and being totally monochromatic to being completely blinged out, whatever your style is. Now you're just going to start wiping it off. This is my favorite part. I'm really wiping hard. Okay, so here is the Snowflake mold. This is a current mold. You can get this, you can buy this now. It's white paint and black wax. If you guys don't already follow my page, Serendipity House, on Facebook, I would love it if you would give me a follow, share the videos. I'm on YouTube and Instagram also. Thanks, guys. Bye.